Chapter 14 about money and banking will have some terms in it that we have already covered previously in economics. First off, the chapter starts talking about bartering, which is a way that people used to get items that they wanted. Maybe you know people that still do some type of bartering by trading a good or a service for another good or service. This still happens. It's just definitely not as common as it used to be. It became inconvenient, and that's why it was not continued as much today as it was in the past. A definition for money is anything really that's used to purchase goods or services or to settle some type of financial obligation. It can be anything as long as it takes care of that obligation. Here are the changing forms of money. We've heard a little bit about these in a video that we watched. One is commodity money, and money that has an alternative use, such as wheat that would be used into flour could also be exchanged for a good or service, so that could be considered money. Representative money is money that is backed by gold or silver. Now, we stopped backing our money by gold or silver, which you saw in the video that we watched a few weeks ago. Fiat money is the money that is decreed as money just because the government says so. And then we have legal tender, which is what we use today. That's the paper money and coins within each nation. There are three roles that money play, and you want to make sure that you know each of these and the definition for them. The first role is that money is a medium of exchange. So we don't have to barter because we can use bills and coins to purchase our goods and services. It is also a store of value. So a $5 bill is a $5 bill. A $10 bill today is a $10 bill next week. Even though the buying power of money has gone down, as we've talked about, a $10 bill still is worth $10. And it is also a unit of account. So it's a way of comparing. If I want to buy a $20 item, I can compare prices and figure out the value of goods and services based on the price. Here are the 5 characteristics that makes money valuable. And in order to be considered money, it has to be able to have these 5 characteristics. So the first is that it is widely accepted. We talked about it's a medium of exchange. Dollar bills can be exchanged for other mediums of money, and we can exchange the dollar bill for a euro or for a peso. And even though the conversion might be different for different countries, it still is widely accepted. Money has to be durable. Think about the times when you have left a dollar bill or a 5 or 10 in your pocket. It has been through the wash and through the dryer, and it is still durable because it passes from person to person. Technically, money is only created to last about 18 months, but it can be easily replaced because we create and print our own money. It must be portable. You have to carry it around. I mean, you wouldn't want to carry around gold bars as your money. So money is very carryable. They make wallets and billfolds that it fits in easily. And it must be divisible. So I have to be able to pay with a 20, and they have to be able to give me the change back if my purchase was only $17.35. So think about if we were to use gems for money, we can't cut gems in half or in thirds or in fourths in order to be divisible. So money needs to be divisible. It also needs to hold its value. So the value that's attached to money should not dramatically change over time. But money will lose its value if there's a huge surplus in it. Like if there was a mass surplus of money printed, the money would actually start losing its value, as has happened before during hyperinflation. So money in the United States today is categorized in 3 different categories. First off, the definition for money supply is all the money that's available for purchasing goods and services at one given time. And in that money supply, there are 3 overlapping categories, and you need to remember that they do overlap with each other. So the first category is M1, and that's considered transactions money. That's that everyday money that you and I spend to buy gas, to go to the mall, to buy our lunch. It includes all money that is in circulation. It does not include the money that you have at home that's in a jar that you don't intend on spending. It does not include the money, in a mattress, under a mattress that someone might be putting back that's not meant to be spent. It includes any type of asset that can be used for goods or service. So traveler's checks, even though they're not used as much today as they were in the past, they are spent just like cash. So it would include traveler's checks. It also includes your checking account. If you have a debit card that you swipe to pay for a purchase, that is the same thing as spending cash, because it comes directly out of your account as soon as it's spent. So all of that is included in the M1 money. M2 is a little bit broader. It contains everything in M1, so remember these are overlapping, and it also includes your savings account and a certificate of deposit. So these are less liquid than the previous M1 categories. In order to get money out of your savings account, you can't spend directly from your savings account. So you've got to either pull it out of there, or you have to be able to transfer it to a checking. And a certificate of deposit has to be cashed in. So these are less liquid. And then M3 contains all of M1, all of M2, and then things that are much less liquid, like retirement accounts that you can't get into, accounts that you have that would be very difficult to pull your money out of. This is just a graph that shows how the money supply is broken up, and you can see that the biggest category here would be in the blue and green, which would be M1 and M2, and then the M3 would be the smallest category of the three. Section 3 of this chapter is some review about how banks work. We've talked about this a little bit in a previous chapter. Banks create money. We've talked about that, and they do that by taking the money that you've deposited with them and putting to work everything except for what has to be put back into reserves. Remember, reserves is what's required by the government that a bank put back and not be put into any type of investment to make money, so that if people want to come in and get their money, it is available to them. So the way that the banks create money can be figured using a simple money multiplier, and that just measures how much the money supply will increase as a result of bank loans. So this assumes that banks lend out everything except the excess reserves that they have to hold back. However, some banks even hold more reserves than others do. So even though they might be required to hold back a 10% of a $100 or a $1,000 deposit, they may hold back more than that as a safety net. So they may not invest all of that 90% that you or other people have deposited with them. Here's a little chart that is from your book that shows you how a bank actually creates money. And I won't go through the whole scenario, but you deposit $100 in the bank. Abe borrows the $80. The bank keeps $20 in reserve. And then someone comes in and deposits the $80 that Abe paid them, and so on and so forth. So how this works is from you, the depositor, all the way down to row G, which is Gene. They have actually created $400 in lending capacity from that $100 original deposit. How does the money supply affect our economy? Well, it does greatly, because an increase in the money supply tends to increase aggregate demand. And aggregate means total. So the aggregate demand is the total demand for goods and services within an economy. So the quantity of goods and services demanded at different price levels. And if our money supply increases due to people spending more money and putting money out in circulation, then our overall aggregate demand also increases. So there are other ways that banks work to produce money, and I'll show you a few videos in class that will explain that a little bit more. But what banks basically do is they take the money that you deposit with them, that is your money. It's due to you anytime you want to walk in the bank and pick it up, but they use that money in investments, to make loans to people, to earn interest, and that's how they end up making money on your money and then creating money to go into the money supply for people to spend. And again,